Welcome to Roundup Live. Have video games done it? Have they finally cracked the next step of media? Recently, we've seen massive successes with the Super Mario Brothers movie raking in over $1 billion in the box office, to unique series like the League of Legends based Arcane over at Netflix, even things like The Last of Us over on Max. Now, the team at Projekt Red have announced today a new live action project from a press release. Quote, Projekt Red, the video game development studio known for its critically acclaimed The Witcher series of games and the best-selling Cyberpunk 2077, is pleased to announce it has begun a collaboration with global media company Anonymous Content to develop a live action project set in the world of its video game, Cyberpunk 2077. BK, here we go.
It's about time.
Cyberpunk TV show or movie or something. I'm
Sign
not
me
sure.
up. Can I audition? Where like I want to be in there,
Yeah,
like swimwear.
Swimwear? Where'd you go with that? Cyberpunk, that's what you're going for?
It's a phrase. Don't worry about it.
So this isn't the first time CD Projekt Red has tapped Cyberpunk for content. Cyberpunk Edge Runners is an anime based on the universe, currently on Netflix as well. Apparently it's doing really, really good. Lots of like awards and stuff for that show.
Awesome.
And even Erin, who's our producer, she said like, yeah, it's a really cool show. So this news literally just hit today, so we're waiting to hear a little bit more about what's going on with the series or movie or whatever. But who would you want to see in the show? Do you think Keanu Reeves will come back as Johnny Silverhand? Maybe, Idris Elba just joined in the new Phantom Liberty DLC as Solomon Reed, so maybe he'll show up in the show. Like, is anyone in particular you want to see in the world of Cyberpunk, Beaks?
Oh man, is it wild that I want like Michelle Yeoh in there? Like,
Ooh, okay.
I feel like that would be sick.
All I know is I want a cameo from Run the Jewels. They got to show up at some point. Killer Mike and LP got to be rolling around Cyberpunk. That'd be pretty awesome.
That would be amazing.
Or at least do some new songs.
I think you're onto something, Jack.
Yeah. So we've talked in the past about video games making the jump from from TV to big screen, and we're starting to see some successes. We talked about before during this, the Super Mario Brothers movie was huge. Sonic the Hedgehog has 2 films that reached positive reception. Second one was okay, but for every one of those, we get like a Tomb Raider or a Hitman or a Need for Speed or a Warcraft. So we're not exactly there just yet. Personally, I was actually a fan of the Assassin's Creed movie. I know a lot of people hated it. A lot of people thought it was dumb. The one with Michael Fassbender. I thought all the stuff back in Spain was really, really cool.
It was good.
All the Animus stuff and like the idea of how they turn the Animus into something visual is like, oh, cool idea. And it was neat how they that's canon to the movie or the canon to the series. So like that movie takes place in the world of Assassin's Creed, which is kind of neat. But a lot of people hate out on it. But hey, it's Mirage Day, so I got to say something about it. But maybe we're starting to see a turn. Like there were a lot of superhero movies that came out that were pretty bad in the 90s and the early 2000s. Then Iron Man hit and then blew up. And then we have the MCU and there's like 30 films in the MCU. So maybe we'll see something like that with like Super Mario Brothers. They definitely teased possible other realms in the Super Mario universe with the warp pipes and stuff. Spoiler if you haven't seen that. But what would you guys like to see? What universe would you like to see expand in the video game realm on the big screen or in a series or something like that? Obviously, Last of Us is coming with a season 2 pretty soon, but I want to see more stuff like it.
Yeah.
And I guess.
I was going to say, for me, I would be so hyped to see Mass Effect.
Ooh, Mass Effect.
Which I've heard there were talks at some point, like, of doing it, then not doing it. And I think, like, the Halo stuff came out and they paused and, like, obviously all the strikes and stuff. But I would pay top dollar for, like, an extended, like, Game of Thrones, but it's Mass Effect.
Ooh.
Like that level, long episodes, meaty space opera.
Man, did you just say Halo? Because that's another one that I was like,
yeah,
it had such potential and it was looking good. Looked like they had money behind it. Looked like they were doing it right. And then you watch it and it's like, have these people ever played the game? Like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
And that's disappointing when it's like, oh, maybe it's in the right hands. And it's just like it's kind of like, I know like there's the book World War Z, which is a fantastic book. Max Brooks wrote it. Great book. And then Brad Pitt took it, made it into a movie, and it turned everything that made the book so cool, they changed it.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Anyway, I can talk about movies all day.
I know, we're geeking out, especially when it's like adaptations and where like video games kind of cross with real life. And I actually have my story this week, which is exactly that in a way I don't think you would have ever thought is possible, Jack. So let's just get into it. A North Texas university is turning a video game into a crime-fighting tool. Actually, this is not a joke. This isn't a bit. This isn't like a funny hee ha ha. No, it's for real. So they're going to be taking information from law enforcement databases and combining it with data that video game players will help collect by playing the game called Dark Shadows. Gamers will solve fictitious crimes by sorting out traffickers' names and crime locations from real U.S. Department of Justice press releases. Yeah, us gamers are gonna help fight sex trafficking.
This is like a twisted Last Starfighter kind of situation.
It's real. I you not. Like,
okay.
Apparently, the university was given federal grants to create sex trafficking data warehouses, and the room is highly secured with floor-to-ceiling temperature and sanitation controls. Question mark?
Okay.
I don't want to know. But the quote here is, many data sets have been developed in general. Like, clearly, we've been doing this for a very long time. This is a problem and an issue. But the problem is that they're soiled in by individuals and agencies and organizations. There's no centralized location for all this information that often heads into international waters or is just completely across the region. So kind of having one centralized location with all the information is super helpful for detectives. And that's kind of what the university is trying to do, but their way of doing it and is sort of helping the AI that manages the data is making it a game for actual people to play to pretty much do detectives' jobs for them. Yeah.
I see. I've got a couple red flags, maybe.
Couple red flags. Well, in the video game, you're an investigator solving a crime, extracting and organizing clues. And these are official reports and actual detective notes. But you know, they like change the names. Instead of it being like Apple, it's like pear. In reality, you're digging through U.S. Department of Justice press releases that they've inputted into the game, and then they scrambled the details for privacy, of course. But they're like actual names, crime locations. Like you are being a detective and doing what would be like a long, painstakingly tedious job for normal detectives that work in isolation. You as a gamer, especially when the game becomes public, are really kind of helping them skip a lot of the major stages of like siphoning through massive collections of data.
Okay.
I don't know how I feel about it.
This is problematic, but also could be a good thing.
Right? It's like on the fence. Am I wrong? Like
it's kind of like all the murder podcasts where it's like, you know, suddenly murder podcasts get into like investigating stuff like cold cases and whatnot. So I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel. But the fact that it's like real information is where I start to feel a little like confused. Like, are we allowed to have access to this? How is this legal?
Yeah, it gets a bit shady, a little bit like, yeah. It's
apparently,
kind of like,
though, all these records are public access. So it's not any private information. It's never been sorted. And the university is really working hard to make it happen. Apparently, there's going to be a beta testing phase within the next year and a limited release to public. And then after adjustments have been made and feedback, a full access public release will happen the following year. So in about 2 years, you too could do the job of a government official from the courtesy of your own home.
Hold My Churro says L.A. Noire. It could be a sequel to L.A. Noire.
There it is.
Except you're actually solving real crimes.
I just want to, how do I get into the alpha? Do you like sign up? Do you submit your email? Like,
well, your credentials, I guess, and your badge over. Well, stay sexy, don't get murdered. Hey, speaking of video games, SEGA, SEGA, they've been around for a long time. SEGA, that was their whole thing, and Genesis, whatnot. They're a publisher now, and they recently canceled a game called Hyenas. This was a new game coming out. It's a multiplayer shooter from Creative Assembly. That's the same team behind Alien Isolation. This game is quite of a shock to some folks, as it was actually pretty close to release. On September 28th, SEGA announced that the game would be canceled along with a few other titles. SEGA cited financial issues, mostly revolving around operations in Europe, which forced them to start cutting budget because they were spending way too much money. It was pretty shocking, though, as with a game that being that close to launch. As a matter of fact, they just had an open beta. Understanding they needed to cancel was kind of confusing. Now we have a little bit more context now as more information has come out. So it turns out Hyenas was sitting on the largest budget for a SEGA title ever at about $100 million.
Jesus.
So having a massive budget along with a team that, according to anonymous team members, had very little direction. Apparently the people behind the game weren't really doing a good job.
They didn't know what the heck was going on.
So it doesn't come as a shock that maybe they were like, maybe this isn't a good thing, and they killed it. So not to be that guy, but looking at the trailer, if you look at it, Hyenas doesn't have a lot of wild new gameplay or features that you'd expect out of a massive AAA title. There's a ton of similar shooters out there now relying on Sega's older branding. And they were relying on Sega's older branding and things like Sonic merchandise that you capture, and kind of the goofiness of it. It had kind of a Suicide Squad kind of feel to it. And it was like, all right, well, we've kind of seen this before in other stuff. As a matter of fact, a YouTuber named Volound has put together a very comprehensive look at the fall of Hyenas, including interviews with some of the team on the project, all anonymously, of course. Is this a sign of the times, or have we hit a point where you just can't release a shooter with 1 or 2 tweaks and a fresh coat of paint and maybe 1 or 2 new features? And also going back to what we talked about on Tuesday, what does this mean for folks in the industry who are dealing with cuts coming from everywhere? It seems like things are getting canceled and shut down all the time. What do you guys think about this in chat? I'm curious because, I mean, again, this is another story just kind of hit now. But, I mean, like, what do you guys think? Are you guys also tired of seeing kind of like basically the same shooter? Just it's like instead of
reskinned,
instead of going over here, you have to go over here. But then every now and then you get something like a Starfield where it's like, oh, this is massively cool. And like I understand where the money came behind something like this. But I don't know. Have we hit fatigue with shooter games with kind of like like arena type shooter stuff?
I would say, and I'm a big fan of that. But I'm someone, and this is coming from the heart, who loved the game Brink, R.I.P. Want to pour one out for Brink. But that happened in a similar era too, where it was too similar to a lot of the games that are coming out, and people were just not playing it, and it got no support. So honestly, I think Sega dodged a bullet, if I'm being honest. Someone might have been really tapped in because coming out right now, there's a lot of changes. I mean, Apex is teasing maybe Titanfall something 2.0. Like, you know, there's a lot of that in the air. New Call of Duty's dropping. I just would be scared for a new IP to kind of just come onto the scene, especially with so much money behind it, especially with a developer that could you name a shooter Sega's done? I can't.
Not off the top of my head.
Not off the top. I don't know. So I don't know how much faith I'd have in them. I'm just being honest.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's sort of it right there. I mean, it's just like I think we've hit some sort of fatigue. I think we've hit a point where there's so many games out there that it's like people would rather go back to stuff they're comfortable with. Like, I'm going to go back and play Fortnite. I'll play my new Call of Duty, which comes out every single year. So
hello, it's me.
Yeah, it's like these companies think like, oh, we're going to be the one that cracks the code. It's like, that is tough. And spending $100 million to try to crack that code.
And not a major Sega IP.
No.
Like, I can let's do Sonic shooters or something.
Yeah, you can have fun with it.
Something.
Anyway, that's all we got going there. But hey, speaking of video game stuff, should we talk about some new releases coming out this week?
I think so. We've got a lot of things
coming out within the next week. As a matter of fact, we already talked about it, but today Assassin's Creed Mirage is hitting, so that's where I'll be spending all my free time for the next couple of weeks. But let's talk about some other ones. A classic tactical RPG returns. The second game in the Front Mission storyline is finally available outside of Japan for the first time. Blending intense strategy with a deep and involved storyline, Front Mission 2 Remake preserves the mature story, strategic turn-based content, and Wanzer customization options of the original. Enjoy the revitalized classic with updated visuals and new features and enhancements. Front Mission 2 Remake hits the Switch on October 5th, which is today. Stranded on a barren moon with nothing but your tools, fuelless ship, and celestial powers of creation, that's just those little things, you are destined to recreate what was once lost and be the hero of your own little universe. 9 mythical worlds and 65 plus different dungeons from mythology-inspired lands to hostile alien worlds await you and your friends. Filled with wonder and plunder, challenges, and adversaries, your task is to restore these beautiful worlds to their former glory in my little universe. Hitting the Switch and PC right now, today. Trapped and isolated in the abandoned town of Little Hope, 4 college students and their teacher must escape the nightmarish apparitions that relentlessly pursue them through an impenetrable fog. The Dark Pictures anthology Little Hope contains many decision-making scenes that dictate how the plot will progress and how the characters will develop over time. With these choices, which players make on behalf of the characters, any of the ensemble cast's 5 playable protagonists can die permanently or survive the night. The Dark Pictures anthology Little Hope is coming to the Switch today. Someone's already came out already.
Yeah,
I don't know if we played that one.
This one's already good. I think it launched on the right console, not this one. You didn't play this one.
It's on Switch now.
It always is Dark Pictures.
That's true. Those are great. Wargroove 2. Trouble stirs on the shores of Aurania. An ambitious new faction has unearthed forbidden relics capable of catastrophic consequences. But how far will they go to achieve glory? Take to the battlefield, sea and sky with a cast of new commanders using your wits to wage turn-based war and an all-new Wargroove adventure for new recruits and veterans, war dogs alike. Wargroove 2 is on the Switch and PC today. Unravel a series of mysteries across Rhyme City with a tough-talking, coffee-loving Detective Pikachu and his human partner Tim Goodman in Detective Pikachu Returns. His name is Goodman. You figure that's a little on the nose. When a jewel theft occurs, the case sets this great detective duo down a path filled with mystery. Why did Tim's father, Harry, go missing? What is causing the Pokemon-related incidents around Rhyme City? Answer these questions and more by searching for clues, investigating scenes, and using your case notebook to make decisions. And watch out for the old guy on that big tower. He's very scary. Detective Pikachu returns on the Switch tomorrow, October 6th. And finally, the one you guys have all been waiting for. The latest NHL is here! With overhauled physics and animations that revolutionize physical contact and deliver realistic body checks like never before in NHL 24. Featuring new ragdoll and animation-based reactions, create big moments at any point in the game. A complete gameplay revamp that rewards extended offensive attacks and an attack zone time, adding a dynamic new layer of authenticity and excitement to the game. This is the one, everyone. NHL 24 is coming tomorrow for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, and Xbox One. And that is it for today. Don't forget Mirage, Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Yeah, don't
I'm not sponsored by them or
not
anything,
sponsored.
but just still, I'm going to go play Assassin's Creed Mirage, find out about Bassam. So I've heard the game's okay. I've heard it's not like mind-blowing, but I've heard it's not
Reviews
bad.
are out, and they're giving 6s.
Yeah, they're saying like it's a smaller version, which is welcome after the last few Assassin's Creed have been
good.
like, here's 400 hours of content we're going to throw
and
your
DLC.
way. Yeah, absolutely. So that'll do it for us this week. Make sure to check us out live on Inside Gaming. We're at twitch.tv/roosterteeth on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 3 until 7 p.m. Central. Also, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Inside Gaming. That's where these Roundup Lives hits. And that does it. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, yes, indeed. Also, if you like podcasts, you prefer to listen to audio only, you
true.
can check us out on all the podcast sites as well. Roundup Live Gaming News.
There you go. Spread the word. And also pick up some stuff at store.roosterteeth.com. Some merchandise supports us. That'll do it.
Yep,
That's going to be
it
it for
for us.
Roundup Live. Thank you for watching, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye.
See ya.